But I'm going to go across also to Gaurav Sethi, the founder of BoardCricket.com. Gaurav, can't be easy on the two captains this morning. Obviously, you know, they've got a great audience, a packed stadium, and if that wasn't enough pressure, they've got, their side's prime ministers watching. So what do you think is going through their minds?
As a test captain and a captain of your country, I think you are able to soak in a lot of pressure. And we're talking about two professional cricketers who've been in the sport, international sport, not just playing for their state teams, but playing for India for a very long time. Rohit Sharma might be new to captaining India in tests, but I think in the last couple of years, what he has shown is that as captain, he has been one of the better test players for India as a test batsman. So when you're able to transfer whatever that pressure is on captaincy into performance, it straight away shows you're up for the job. Now, this series, of course, has been very challenging in the sense that even though India has started with the lead, we were leading 2-0, and it just seems in hindsight that Australia has struck back in Indore, but it has been a lot closer than that. None of India's batting has really clicked in a very long time. This continues to be the flavor of this series. Australia's batting was under the pump also. You are talking of Steve Smith as the Australian captain from Indore. He is far more seasoned as a captain than Pat Cummins, who was the captain prior to him, who had to fly back for personal reasons. What you are talking about are two extremely competitive teams, but I would also like to put in context the history of India-Australia as test-playing nations. When India first played Australia in a test, that was 1947 in Brisbane. India did not even reach 100 in that test. They batted twice. They lost by an innings. Donald Bradman was the captain of the Australian team. Lala Amarnath was the captain of the Indian team. Fast forward many years, almost 70, more than 70 years, India finally beat Australia in Brisbane, in Gabba, which by many is considered to be one of the most fascinating test matches ever played. The fact that India has successfully beaten Australia twice in Australia, which they never had, and they only did very recently, shows the flow for India overseas. But at the same time, I think what we all need to be very mindful of is that India, even though they do look very unbeatable at home, and the records seem to pretty much say that, I do think that this series has been a lot closer. India has been put under threat, and that is largely because India isn't as good as it was against spin. I mean, when you have spoken about, the wonderful series where India was deemed to be the final frontier, and VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid pretty much did the turnaround for the ages. We do not see that quality of spin or guile even today. But our batting is definitely not up to it. We are talking about an aging batting lineup, and they are going to be put to an extreme test even today, because what you're talking about is back-to-back games which came at both India and Australia, where everyone was only talking about the pitch. Now, if you are going to be so preoccupied with the conditions, is there a lack in your preparation? And I do think there has been a lack in India's ability as well as Australia's ability. I think Australia was flummoxed in the first two tests. They didn't know what hit them. But because they were able to regroup so well, we are up for not just a fascinating test match here, but one which should be competitive, because India will have had a relook at how they want to, what kind of a pitch do they want to put, because the criticism that the indoor pitch has come under, I think, has allowed everyone to rethink and say, listen, we're having test matches which are done in 3 days, well under 3 days. Can we stretch the test further? I mean, it's a 5-day test match finally, but is it down to the ability of the batting? Is it just the pitch? I think these are questions that both captains will ask themselves. We're talking about Steve Smith is one of the best test batsmen in the last many years now. And his game against spin has been tested, as has everyone else in the Indian lineup. So it really is up to how much up are they up for a scrap? Because we saw also in the previous game, there was one man from the Indian lineup who scored a 50, Cheteshwar Pujara. He just recently played his 100th test. His place in the team has always been under question. It was under question again. And when we are talking about that kind of scrutiny, which comes again and again, and Pujara was one of the architects, along with Rishabh Pant, for those wins in Australia. Pant is missing, as we all know. But Pujara, who's close to scoring 2,000 runs solely against Australia, what he can deliver. So we are talking about various different stories within this larger story of India playing Australia. You know, there's some great characters there, but can they come up and do something which will be memorable?
As the Australians played some mind games, suggesting that India should not be focusing on pitch, should be focusing on the match if they have to really qualify for the WTC final in June. You think those are mind games, or that challenge is really real?
So it's about knowing what Ricky Ponting does. I think even as a player, he did love a lot of these kind of games, and that is Ricky Ponting's character. There is a bit of playfulness in him, and I think this does go with the territory. It's what he is saying is pretty much there. You cannot be focused on the pitch, because if you're going to be so preoccupied with the pitch, you really are taking away that focus from your batting, from your bowling, from what your disciplines are. The pitch is never in your control, even though if you look at it as, say, a home advantage where curators are almost told how to go about it. Once you get that pitch, and I think it was important that India got pitches that did give results, because India did need results. They got 2 wins. It was in India's interest to have, I don't think they're being called sporting wickets, but yes, you have had a results, maybe too soon, but it is in India's interest to win Ahmedabad.
Yeah, I think Ahmedabad also, for whatever little cricket I know, Gaurav Sethi, Ahmedabad pitch is known to really worsen over days and sort of turn a little more, goes dead so far as pace is concerned. I think it would be interesting to watch at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Motera, Ahmedabad. We continue to be with Gaurav Sethi of boardcricket.com and of course Priyanka there reporting from the ground in Ahmedabad. To Gaurav, you first, we were discussing about the pitch. As I was saying earlier, the Ahmedabad pitch sort of tends to spin a little more as the match progresses over the 5 days. You think that's going to really give a handle to the Indians over the match, or you think the Australians have also done well with the spin of late?
Australians have done very well. I think we saw that in Indore, where they pretty much outbowled India. We were only able to take 1 wicket in the second innings, even though Australia was chasing barely 75 odd runs. But what you are seeing is that if the game were to go beyond 3 days, which it hasn't so far, we will see how conditions pan out. But as of now, the way the series has gone is that you've had 3 tests, all of which have been completed well within 3 days. So we're not even seeing how this pitch is going to play out. Classically, what does happen is in India, the ball does tend to spin slower. There is uneven bounce. But what we are seeing here is first sessions of play, in fact, have a lot more bite, where India, in fact, was knocked over pretty much within 2 hours. So it has been unpredictable in that sense, where what we are used to is not really happening. And that I will go back to again is how good how good is this team against spin? What is their preparedness against spin? Are they
All right.
able to, take new measures, as in duck down and scrap it out?
Australia doing well with the spin also, and I think they have, as you rightly mentioned, perfected the art of a spin as well, as could be seen in the Indore match.